Well, let's speak to Sarah Pochin MP. She is the Reform UK MP for Runcorn and Helsby. Sarah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Peter.
Well, this person has been found guilty. The justice system has done its job, but of course he shouldn't have been in this country in the first place. What do you think of all of this?
Well, that's right. He's been charged with being an illegal migrant into the country. So that's the first thing. And as you know, I've made very clear, and other members of Reform, elected politicians have made very clear, under a Reform government, anybody that arrives here in this country will be immediately deported. This vile individual, I believe, was arrested last October for these offences. So I would like to know where he's been since. I assume he's been held on bail, and I hope he'll be held on bail for the next week until he's sentenced. But yes, people have got to understand now the level of risk to Nigel Farage couldn't be higher. And this type of stuff only incites violence, incites people to try and get to Nigel. But not only Nigel, even myself, Peter. I mean, I've only been in this job, in this position for 5 months. I had to pull out of an event this morning because it had been leaked where I was going to be, when I was going to be there, and what time. So,
what happened this morning? Did you receive a threat, or what was the issue?
No, the issue is that if there's advance warning of any of us Reform politicians now being in a certain place at a certain time, on a certain day, then if all of that is leaked out onto social media, then sadly, in the current environment, not helped by, as I say, vile individuals like this person, then our safety is such at risk now, because we are raising these issues. We are calling this out for what it is. This is an illegal, or charged with being an illegal migrant in this country. He shouldn't be here, and he's inciting violence. What I would like to say, though, is I very much hope that the sentence that he receives next week reflects the severity of this offence, because I have two Lucy Connolly equivalents in my constituency that live in Runcorn that are currently out now on licence, but got 28. One got 28 months, one got 32 months for writing something on Twitter that was nothing like this level of incitement to kill. And there they are receiving well over 2 years of a custodial sentence. So I'll be very interested in watching very carefully what this individual receives next week.
Yes, we will. And of course, we know there have been so many examples of two-tier justice in this country. Let's hope that the book is thrown at this person. We've had MPs, of course, murdered within the last few years. Joe Cox, Sir David Amess as well. From your perspective, Sarah, it's a risky job. Nigel, of course, I don't mean this in a critical or horrible way, but he is just factually more high profile than you are, of course. But still, you feel a huge threat to your life. I mean, what do you do, without giving too much detail? What kind of mitigations do you take place, or do you do every day? It must be something to live with all the time when you're trying to serve your constituents and actually be accessible as well.
Exactly, and it's so important to be accessible. But at the end of the day, Peter, I knew what I was taking on. The people in Runcorn, the people in this constituency need access to me. They need, I mean, where I am in Runcorn, I have an office where anybody can come and see me. And that is so important. I will never, ever hide away from these people. I will never stop saying the things that I say, and I will never stop standing up for the issues that are going on in this community, like the illegal asylum seekers dispersed in my community here in HMOs.
Let's talk about that more in just a second. Just to finish the point on Nigel Farage, he, as Zia Youssef told us about a month ago, had his taxpayer-funded security, which I do not begrudge him in the slightest, reduced by 75%. Now Reform pays about £1 million a year for Nigel Farage to get round-the-clock security guards. What should happen? I mean, surely there is a credible threat to Nigel Farage. Surely the government should be providing that for him. And the brave officers who I used to work with when I was in government of the Royalty and Specialist Protection Branch of the Metropolitan Police.
Look, I absolutely 100% agree with that. Nigel Farage will be the next Prime Minister of this country. We have 3 years and 9 months, I think, to go of this government. But the fact is, the polls are all saying unless something goes drastically wrong, then Nigel Farage will be the next Prime Minister. We are the real party of opposition. We know that. You only have to look at the polls. So, yes, Nigel is a huge target, and he absolutely should be getting full security to protect him as we move towards the next general election. And I would say he's much more justified. Peter, we hear about Angela Rayner's boyfriend using government-paid security, government-paid cars to move house, to pick her. Well, actually, I won't say that because it's not in public. Sorry, but I've heard all sorts of things about what goes on with those protection officers. It's an absolute disgrace. Nigel Farage should be protected to the hilt because he's going to be the next Prime Minister.
Let's talk about migration. You mentioned it in your constituency there. Labour's one in, one out scheme has seen only 26 small boat migrants sent back to France. During the time of the scheme, about 10,000 have arrived, including 1,000 on a single day last week. We get this news, and indeed the news about this person convicted of threatening to kill Nigel Farage, an Afghan, on the day it's revealed by the Telegraph that the Taliban are selling fake death threats for asylum seekers to dupe the UK for £40. Pay the Taliban 40 quid and they'll say, yeah, we've got a threat out on your life. I mean, you just couldn't make it up.
But what is so important, Peter, is that the Home Office get a grip of what's happening here. It is not acceptable for those sort of letters to just be taken as is. I mean, it's pretty obvious. The Taliban are laughing all the way to the bank, clearly, and these illegal asylum seekers are laughing all the way to our benefit system. The people that are losing out here are the British taxpayers. Our Home Office has got a lot to answer for. It needs to be vetting properly these individuals. It needs to be doing checks. As I said, under a Reform government, they won't be setting foot inside this country. But we need to also be looking at the ones that are already here in our migrant hotels, in our houses of multiple occupation, out in the community, working illegally. We need to be going after them and not accepting such nonsense as these made-up Taliban letters. It's not good enough, and the Home Office need to get a grip.
Sarah, thank you. That's Sarah Pochin there, the Reform UK MP for Runcorn and Helsby. Thank you to Molly, who says Fayez Khan, that's the scumbag who's been convicted of threatening to kill Nigel Farage, found guilty of this. He will do a couple of months in prison, and his human rights lawyer will make sure he has a permanent right to remain because he's from Afghanistan. And we'll have to put up with it. How much more can we put up with from this government? I wish I could afford to leave this hellhole of a country, the country I used to love and be proud of.